I nderuar kryeministri i Maqedonisë, qeverisë Republikës së Maqedonisë, zoti Kovačevski, i nderuar kryeministër i Bullgarisë Galabdonev, të nderuar përfaqësues të qeverive të Republikës së Maqedonisë dhe Bullgarisë, të nderuar ekselenca, përfaqësues të delegacionit të Bashkimit Evropian dhe të Bashkimit dhe Bankës Evropiane për Zhvillim dhe Ndërtim, të nderuar drejtor, kryetar të komunash, përfaqësues të pushtetit lokal, të nderuar media dhe qytetar. Ju falenderoj për prezencën në eventin e sotëm, ku do të filloj ndërtimi i pjesës lindore të korridorit e 8, seksion Kumanovo-Beljakovce-K.Palanka. Ky projekt kapital është shumë i rëndësishëm për biznesin, për ekonominë, por edhe investim në Bashkimin Evropian për lidhje hekullore të tërë rajonit dhe më gjerë. Është shumë me rëndësi lidhja me fqinjet tanë, Bullgaria dhe Shqipëria, që është në interes rajonal për qytetarët dhe për zhvillimin ekonomik dhe rritjen ekonomike. Së pari ftoj kryeministrin e Dimitar Kovačevski, urdhroni.
Dear Mr. Galabdonev, President of the Government of the Republic of Bulgaria, dear Euro Ambassador David Gear, dear representatives of the EBRD, dear Mr. Gruby, First Deputy Prime Minister of the Government of the dear Ministers, dear Ambassadors, dear Members of Parliament of North Macedonia, dear guests, media, and above all, dear citizens, both of North Macedonia and of the Republic of Bulgaria. Each person, each one of us, can have both a wish and an ambition, but when you have determination and a vision for the future, then success will come. Today, we continue with achieving our goal, which is of national, strategic and international importance for the Republic of North Macedonia. Today, here we mark the continuation of the construction of Railway Corridor 8 through Macedonia, the section Kumanovo-Beljakovce-K.Palanka, which would mean modern European railway infrastructure in the Republic of North Macedonia, but also an accelerated economic and regional development. Such capital projects are projects for future generations, and through them North Macedonia becomes connected with European railway corridors. North Macedonia geographically and naturally is a crossroads and a key point for connection towards Europe, but also towards the Adriatic and Black Sea. With capital projects just like this one, our country becomes a real intersection of the Balkans, and that creates room for growth and advancement in many fields. Yesterday, while I was watching the news on the media, many of them reported on today's event, and it was unavoidable to point out that for almost 30 or 28 to be exact years, this project has been idle. A train for Sofia left in 1994, and that's really the case. This railway line called Desire, that's what it was designated by the media, and I can admit that it was an accurate designation. I am aware of the skepticism, and I'm one of the people that practically grew up with the project railway line to Bulgaria. And since the moment when I became aware of what the railway corridors mean, that was when this railway corridor started its construction, and it's still not built. And I know why this skepticism exists, and this distrust that sometimes it will really happen. I understand the sentiment of the citizens, and in order to fix that, we need to admit all of this to ourselves and then to start working. Or, during these past 30 years, either we did not have the knowledge, or we did not have enough dedication, or there was too much corruption, or all three things together. That is why here before you, with full responsibility, I say that our only option is to double our efforts and to start working hard and to do this together with our friends, neighbors and the European Union. We can always talk why something could not be done, but there's also an option to start working and to move forward and to select the best road, or in this case, the best railway line to our European future. And that is why today I say that the rehabilitation and the efforts on Corridor 8, which is the railway line that connects North Macedonia with the Republic of Bulgaria, become reality. With devoted cooperation, we build our joint future. We provide the possibilities for the business community, and we invest in modern railway connections and in connecting this whole region. This investment of North Macedonia opens new European routes for railway transport and enables regional connection with ports Burgas in Bulgaria and the port Dures in Albania, which is extremely important for our economy, but also for the cooperation in this region as a whole and for the cooperation of this region with other European regions. This economic and energy crisis with which we are faced pointed out to us just how important is the regional connection and good neighborly relations. I expect that this railway line will contribute towards the improvement of the regional connections and regional cooperation. In front of us is a process of reform in railway transport. This is a long process, but it's also necessary for the speedy and European railway transport. I like to use this opportunity to thank our friends and partners from the EU, which enabled us through joint projects to start the construction of a modern and efficient railway network in this region. The EU is our partner in the reform process, and the European approach and life are things that we strive towards. Those include a modern railway traffic that will facilitate the communication between countries in the region. And that is why this project is important both for us and for our neighbors. The Republic of North Macedonia has went through a long, complex period of political and economic agony, and the road that we walk on is the path to development of the Macedonian society as a whole. With the decisions that we made for starting the negotiations with the EU, we've invested in the development of North Macedonia and in its international, political and economic positioning. Our economic orientation as a government bears fruit. In front of us is one more piece of evidence that good neighborly relations mean the development of both North Macedonia and Bulgaria, both individually and jointly for both countries. Whenever there's a will, these policies are realized very easily. That's why we witness today one specific and real goal which is necessary for the citizens and the business community. The new railway line opens markets for new investments and for new cooperation with domestic and foreign companies. It reduces transportation costs, which is very important for the economy and for the citizens in this economic crisis with which Europe and the world are faced. Our goal is the accelerated economic development because the citizens expect it, and they expect to live in a European country with a higher living standard. And this is one thing to which I, as a Prime Minister, am fully devoted. Only in the past 2 weeks, we opened several new factories, and we witnessed new investments, and the largest solar power plant started its operations, and it's part of the energy transition of the country. In the previous years, we positioned ourselves as a destination which foreign investors trust, and we are above the global average when it comes to attracting greenfield investments in comparison with the budget of the country. Almost 90% of the investments come from new projects, while the remaining 10% are from investments in extensions. The investments in renewables are the leading sector, then the automobile and IT and service sector follow. All this means growth and development of the country. The investments in development projects that we see in the past months, but also in the past 5 years, are a result of good government policies, but also of our stable business ambience, of the membership in NATO, and of the start of negotiations with the EU. For us as a government, this is an affirmation of the good concept that we are carrying through. The government has a clear goal and aspirations to achieve the strategic goals to which the citizens committed us in the 90s. We strive towards better living standards, we care for disabled people, but we always look forward towards the future. So good luck to everyone, and may we have luck in the future with this. Thank you, Prime Minister, for your motivation speech, and we move on with the address of the President of the Government of Bulgaria, Mr. Galab Donev. Mr. Donev, please, you have the floor. Your Excellencies, dear ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to accept the invitation of Prime Minister Kovačevski to be present at this ceremony for the start of the construction of the route of the eastern part of Corridor 8. For the railway line, which is undoubtedly important for other countries and for Bulgaria and North Macedonia and Albania. So without any doubt, this will add value to the development of our whole region. I would like to greet the organizers and the participants in today's event, and I would like to mention that in the previous 140 years we built the infrastructure which was the content of today's Corridor 8. And this was the desire of many generations on both sides of the border. It was important to talk about Corridor 8 in all its versions because it's an important communication and a key link between Bulgaria, North Macedonia and Albania, between the citizens and the businesses in all three countries. Bulgaria has worked actively on the construction of Corridor 8 and on the line Sofia-Skopje-Dures should be part of the Western Balkans corridor. The construction of Corridor 8 is an advantage both for Bulgaria, but I also believe that for all the other countries along the corridor. And the consequences of the war in Ukraine resulted in negativities in our region, and there is no sufficient infrastructure. Because of the energy crisis, it's important to provide direct supply routes, and because of a lack of railway and energy infrastructure, our countries were forced to seek alternative supply routes which cross third countries, and that increases the costs and the time to supply goods from the countries which we need to receive supplies. I would like to emphasize the agreement between the Bulgarian and Macedonian gas pipe operators that secured the supply of natural gas to North Macedonia, and this will contribute to the improvement of the cooperation in the field of energy. We also mentioned the construction of Corridor 8 that links 3 members, and it contributes to national and safety. That's why I am convinced that with joint efforts we can overcome the existing challenges in the current geopolitical status. Also, the construction of Corridor 8 can be an important contact in the east-west axis that connects the countries from Central Asia and Southeastern Europe, and with the countries of the Caucasus and the Middle East. For the first time in the history of Bulgaria and North Macedonia, the exchange of goods will surpass 1 billion euros. So imagine what this amount between Bulgaria and North Macedonia would be if there were developed infrastructure. So I have no doubts that in the future perspectives, both for Albania as well, the interest of the business is obvious, and it's our obligation to make all possible efforts to respond to those expectations through the construction of strategic projects among them. A key one is the railway line between Sofia and Skopje. And I would like to sincerely congratulate the hosts and to emphasize that this current event is an example about the road which we need to follow in the future. So thank you and good luck. Thank you for your address, Mr. Donev. And now the next speaker will be the first Deputy Prime Minister and in charge for the political system, Mr. Artan Grubi. So please, let's have your address. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone.
Dear Prime Minister, Mr. Dimitar Kovacevski, dear Prime Minister of the Republic of Bulgaria, Mr. Galab Donev, dear friend of North Macedonia, great to have you with us today, Ambassador Gear, I dashur Andi, shumë faleminderit për gjithë mbështetjen. Dear ministers, colleagues, dear MPs, members of parliament, dear ambassadors, dear directors, dear representatives of the media, citizens, attendees, ladies and gentlemen. This government is a government of fulfilling great promises and improving injustices and endless delays. It's a government and a progressive majority to close all open issues. A government that works for zero open issues with our neighbors. A government that has zero internal issues. A pro-NATO, a pro-EU government. a government which is connecting the coast of the Black Sea with the coast of the Adriatic Sea, with rail, highway, and energy. These matters require courage and knowledge. That's why I have the extraordinary pleasure to see how one of these projects is starting today, with the great support of the European Union. Road and Rail Corridor 8 are the biggest infrastructure investments in our country. They are an important economic artery, strategic goals from which there can be no turning back. They are the future perspective for the development of the country and a concrete strategy for better quality of life. We will take another big step very soon with the start of the construction of the Corridor 8 highway. The year ahead of us will be filled with infrastructural works that will improve the quality of people's lives and develop the economy of our country. There will be work for everyone and it will be good for everyone. Do të ketë punë për gjithë dhe do të bëhet mirë për gjithë. Ke ima rabota za si.
It will be good for.
I wish you successful work process on this project and full completion before its end time. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister. We move on. The next one to address you will be the Minister for Transportation and Communications, Mr. Blagoj Belčvarski. Please, you have the floor. Dear President of the Government of the Republic of North Macedonia, Dimitar Kovačevski, dear President of the Government of the Republic of Bulgaria, Galab Donev, dear representatives of the Government of the Republic of North Macedonia and of the Government of the Republic of Bulgaria, dear Euro Ambassador David Gear, dear representatives of the diplomatic corps in the country, dear representatives of EBRD in North Macedonia, Andrea Ranitasi, dear manager of Macedonian Railway Lines Infrastructure, Mr. Hari Lokvenec, dear MPs, guests and media. Today, we open a new chapter in the construction of Macedonian infrastructure. With the start of the construction of this section of Corridor 8, we are turning a new page in the railway system in the country. Our vision for a European Macedonia is no longer just a desire or idea. This project and this railway line is part of the European perspective and the development and prosperity of the Republic of North Macedonia. I'm glad that a special mark on this day is left by our European partners, representatives of Bulgaria and all supporters of our country, and I wish you a warm welcome to all of you today. This is a joint success, and I'm glad that this government and all of us showed determination to start the largest investment in railway infrastructure in independent Macedonia since 1991. In the amount of approximately 200 million euros. We stand tall before a big challenge, the completion of Corridor 8 and the east-west access as part of pan-European corridors. The construction of this railway line from Kumanovo to K.Palanka and in the next phase from K.Palanka to the Bulgarian border is an investment in the amount of 600 million euros, and it's a serious step for the development of the regional railway infrastructure. The construction operatives in the field are a proof of our dedication to build a modern railway line. The stretch from Kumanovo to Beljakovce is 31 kilometers long, and the value of the investment is 40 million euros. In the next phase, from Beljakovce to K.Palanka, we'll invest 150 million euros for the construction of 34 kilometers of this railway line. And I want to emphasize that these 65 kilometers are not just a length of a railway line. This is a need for the economic strengthening of the country and new opportunities for our citizens, domestic companies, and for cooperation between countries in the region. In this phase, the infrastructural project for the third section between K.Palanka and the Bulgarian border has been approved, and our teams from the Ministry for Transportation and the Public Enterprise for Roads, together with representatives from Bulgaria, work together on the tunnel and on all the procedures that need to be completed in the future. We expect to publish a call in the following year for the construction of this third and largest section for the railway connection to the east, and at our disposal we have 61 million euros from the IPA program and 150 million euros from the investment fund for the Western Balkans of the EU. So, dear participants, Corridor 8 is significant for the European transportation network, and the construction of this railway line is a precondition for sustainable economic development, not just for our country, but of the region as a whole. Myself and my minister peers, Hristo and Belinda from Bulgaria, strive to do this when we sought support from our partners from the EU when we wanted to build this corridor. 1 year ago, myself, Hristo and Belinda signed the memorandum for the construction of Corridor 8, and we promised that our signatures will transpose into machinery in the field, into construction of tunnels and bridges, and that this very significant regional project and corridor will be finished. That's why I want to tell you that we are ready to construct more than 30 tunnels and more than 90 bridges in order to connect with our friends and neighbors, in order to have a stronger economy and better future for all. That is why we seek support from the EU. Both us as North Macedonia and Bulgaria and Albania want to insert this corridor into the main network of European corridors, and we'll talk about that in the following month in Brussels within the transportation community. We no longer want to speak of alternative highway and railway lines, and the construction of this route will be a significant transportation route between the eastern and western harbors. There was extreme skepticism about the completion of this Corridor 8, but it's a strategic vision and priority for the whole region. We don't have any more time to waste. The construction begins in force and immediately. This investment is a joint capital insertion for all of us and for future generations. And in the end, I would like to thank the European Union and the EBRD and all other financial institutions that made a serious contribution for the construction of this project. So good luck with the construction, and all of us, colleagues, ministers, and all the other participants, the prime ministers and the managers of the companies, would like to ensure you that this is the start of the regional integration and that we will not stop here. Our joint mission will end with opening the borders and full completion of the corridors. We will continue to work jointly through these capital projects, and we will prove that most important political subjects in the region will be infrastructure and connections. So thank you, and I would like to greet you once again, and of course our friend Matej Zakonšek, who is here with us as president of the transportation community in this region. Thank you. Thank you, Minister Bovčarski, on your extensive and detailed speech. But for the realization of this project, it's extremely significant the support that we received from the EU. So I called to address you, the ambassador of the EU in the Republic of North Macedonia, Mr. David Gear. Please, you have the floor.
Dear Prime Minister Kovacevski, dear Prime Minister Donev, Deputy Prime Minister Gruby, Ministers, Excellencies, colleagues, friends, I'm honoured to be here with you today to celebrate the launch of the works on the construction of a railway link to Bulgaria. And today we witness the beginning of the extension of the national railway network from Kumanovo to K.Palanka, a distance of 88 kilometres. And the next phase will be to extend the line to the border with Bulgaria itself. But in fact, we have greater ambitions, as you have heard. We look forward to the day, thanks to these efforts, when it will be possible to travel by rail from the Adriatic to the Black Sea, across the territory of 2 negotiating states and 1 member state. But in fact, we have greater ambitions, and I'm looking forward to the time when that same journey can be made without even leaving the European Union, following the accession of North Macedonia and Albania. So the European Union is proud to be supporting this truly strategic initiative, an initiative that will help promote regional trade, reduce travel times, and spur sustainable economic growth, bringing great benefits for local citizens and businesses in the region, and giving practical effect to our common efforts to promote good neighbourly relations. It's also an initiative that is green and that will help us meet our climate goals and reduce pollution. Overall, the European Union, what we call Team Europe, the European Commission and here the EBRD, are investing more than €500 million in the expansion of the railway from North Macedonia to Bulgaria. This is by far the largest single investment the European Union has made in this country. Of course, we are also engaged, as you know, in many other sectors. And in the transport sector, this is just one example of the engagement and commitment that we have. Since 2007, €500 million have been invested with the goal of strengthening transport connectivity in the country. Dear ladies and gentlemen, last year we celebrated the European Year of the Rail. What is clear is that the railway is back. The railway is the future once again, a sustainable, green, more prosperous future. And I'm glad that we are here today to take first practical steps in building that future together. Vi blagodaram, shufala mindret, thank you.
Thank you for your address, Ambassador Gear. And our next speaker is the representative of the EBRD, Mr. Andri Aranitasi, to address you. So please, you have the floor.
Good afternoon. Dear Prime Minister Kovacevski, dear Prime Minister Donev, dear Deputy Prime Ministers, members of the government, dear David, dear Harry, dear ambassadors, mayors, representatives of the contractors, colleagues, friends, citizens, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I am very pleased today to be representing the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development at the long-awaited launch of the works for the second phase and the resumption of the works for the first phase of the eastern section of Rail Corridor 8 towards Bulgaria. We are very honored as EBRD to be working on this very important strategic project with the government, with the railway company, with the Ministry of Transport and of course our partners from the European Union. It is a very important day today. It reminds me of a saying which is credited to the great French writer Victor Hugo. There is nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come.
And when you think of the pressing questions and issues of today and the answers we need to provide to them, you can hardly find a better answer than railways. The modern, the environmentally friendly, the sustainable and the safe way of transport. Something which for us as EBRD is at the top of our agenda for the Western Balkans, for which to date we have provided more than 1 billion euros and we expect to provide a similar amount in the future. 2 days ago, in the context of Corridor 8, we started in the presence of President von der Leyen and Prime Minister Rama in Albania, the works for the Albanian part of Corridor 8. It's also a very important project, another EBRD-EU cooperation and co-financing, and when completed is going to connect the port of Durrës in Albania with the ports of Burgas and Varna in Bulgaria through North Macedonia, and will open huge opportunities for economic cooperation, regional trade, and for travel. As EBRD, we are the largest provider of financing to North Macedonia, with more than 1.1 billion euros having gone to infrastructure loan. But railways are in our heart. They are an important part of what we do. That's why to date we have provided more than $250 million. We have allocated another 100 million for a cooperation with the EU on the third phase from K.Palanka to the Bulgarian border. And we stand ready to support the country also in the construction of the western section towards Albania, starting with the Kičevo-Struga section. In conclusion, I would like to wish the best of luck to both contractors from Gülermak and from Strabag in completing this very important project. We look forward to it. I know that probably I won't be here when the project is complete, but I will come back and travel this by rail when it's there. I want to thank again the representatives from the Public Railway for Public Enterprise for Railway Infrastructure and from the Ministry of Transport for their strong efforts and contribution, and to look forward to cooperating with everyone in the implementation and the completion of these very important projects. Thank you very much. Good luck. So sreća. Me kam të bar.
Thank you for your address, Mr. Ranitasi. And the next one will be the manager of the public enterprise railway lines of the Republic of North Macedonia, Mr. Haril Lokvenac. Please, you have the floor. Dear Prime Minister of the Government of the Republic of North Macedonia, Mr. Kovacevski, dear Prime Minister of the Government of the Republic of Bulgaria, Mr. Donev, dear First Deputy Prime Minister of the Macedonian Government, dear Ambassador Geer, our dear friend, and also dear Manager of the local office of the EBRD, Mr. Andri. Dear ministers in the Macedonian government, dear colleagues from the sector of infrastructure, dear contractors and their representatives, Gülermak and Strabag, dear ladies and gentlemen and dear friends. I would like to express my enormous gratitude because with your presence you show the real significance of this event, which in itself means progress, but it's also a great responsibility. Even though all of us were faced with a period of uncertainty as a result of various crises in the past years, we do not want to turn back on the great European vision defined with the green agenda, which is zero emissions until 2050. This is the goal which we must achieve in order for future generations to live in a more environmentally, more sustainable surroundings. And for that, the most sustainable way of transport is railway transport, because it's the fastest, the cheapest and the shortest and most environmentally friendly way of connection. And that's why we are gathered here today to mark the start of construction of the first two from a total of 3 phases of the eastern part of Corridor 8 towards Bulgaria. Ladies and gentlemen, what do we achieve with the construction of Railway Corridor 8 from Albania through North Macedonia to Bulgaria? Number one, by connecting the Adriatic port of Drač through the Macedonian capital of Skopje with the Bulgarian ports on the Black Sea, Burgas and Varna, we connect the Mediterranean with the Black Sea region. With this, we can freely say that we are building the European continental Bosphorus. Number two, Railway Corridor 8 connects 3 members of the NATO alliance. And number 3, with the construction of Corridor 8, we are completing this important European initiative, 3 Seas initiative. 12 member states of the EU, with this initiative through the Macedonian and Albanian railways, will connect the Baltic with the Black and Adriatic Sea. The construction of the first 2 phases encompasses the construction of 65 kilometers of railway. The first 31 kilometers are constructed by a consortium led by Strabag within 24 months, and the second phase is by the Julermag consortium with the period of construction of 36 months. Today's day seems to have come out from Ripley's Almanac and the Believe It or Not section. For the justified skeptics, I would like to share the arguments for our certainty and persuasion that we will succeed. When, if not now? Because the funds for the whole project are secured. Our friends from the EBRD and other financiers are here. 100% is secured before the start of construction, and that's a situation that we never had before. And we also finished 100% of the necessary expropriation for the construction. And the whole route was examined for archaeological findings. And one more thing that doesn't depend entirely on us are the contractors which were selected in accordance with European rules and procedures, and I hope that they will finish their job in a timely manner. And we achieved all this with the support of the whole Macedonian government, and literally the whole Macedonian government. The mission of the EU and the EBRD and the state institutions, and I will name some of them, the cadastre, Mr. Turgev is somewhere here, then for property matters, Ms. Kasami is also here, then the Bureau for Court Expert Witness Testimonies. And we are extremely grateful to them for that. And I would like to emphasize that we accomplished this during the COVID crisis and limited communication possibilities. With all the risk from the virus, we had live meetings with Biljana from EBRD. She should be somewhere here. Biljana from the Ministry of Transportation and Communications. And also Dean Markovski and the whole team. Ljubica, Driton, Miško, Vesna, Svetlana, Makedonka, Vlado, and all employees at Macedonian Railways infrastructure. This is the team that will be written in Macedonian history because it carried out something that nobody believed in. Please stand up to greet all of them. And we are not stopping here. we are preparing the tendering file for the third stretch from K.Palanka to the Bulgarian border. We expect to publish a tender no later than in the first quarter of the following year, and to select contractors by the end of the following year. This is a huge challenge because on a total length of 24 kilometers, there are 24 tunnels and 50 bridges. This project has an estimated value of 405 million euros in 2017, and we've received IPA grant means in the amount of 61 million euros and WEF grant in the amount of imposing 155 million euros, or more than 50% of the funds for this project are secured through grants from the EU. And dear Mr. Gear, Macedonian citizens are more than grateful for these funds, and we hope to continue the good cooperation with the EU through new capital investments in the years to come. The project schedule is to finish all works by 2027. And for that purpose, we have close cooperation and coordination with our Bulgarian colleagues through monthly meetings in order to achieve the joint goal to have a railway link by the end of 2027. And here I would like to thank the current Bulgarian Deputy Minister, Mr. Papukchivski, with whose help and initiative we managed to carry out the good mutual cooperation. And as for the western wing of Corridor 8, from Kičevo to the Macedonian-Albanian border, we work on updating the project documentation, which is complete, in order to have a quicker realization of this project. By the end of this decade, we can build the whole length of Corridor 8 in Macedonian territory. I would like to speak about the economic impact and the local population. From this stage, I require their patience and support, because probably during the construction there will be certain disruptions of their everyday habits. But at the same time, I would like to emphasize that only the 7 railway stations between Kumanovo and the Macedonian-Bulgarian border will need approximately 50 train dispatchers. So I would like to encourage young people to enroll at the railway high school, and together with the Transport Community Secretariat and Mr. Matej, we worked together on commissioning the Regional Excellence Center for training for all railway personnel here in Skopje, and we are sincerely grateful for that to you, Mr. Matej. Regarding the economic justification, I would like to mention that even now we are preparing to prepare the documentation for a multimodal terminal that will increase the potential of the railway line and the railway traffic, and it will remove all doubts about the economic justification of this project. And on the other hand, the Macedonian capital, Skopje, with its location at the intersection of corridors 8 and 10, will be the biggest and the most powerful regional logistics center in this part of the Balkans. Ladies and gentlemen, all European countries, regardless whether they are members or candidates for membership in the EU, form a large railway mosaic, and I believe that they should be equally treated and supported in order to maintain it. Through these activities, we as Macedonian Railway Alliance and Macedonian state show that we are not just a geographic part of Europe, but that we have the capacity and will to stand shoulder to shoulder with our European partners in the implementation of European strategies. So good luck to us all. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lokvenec, and I would like to thank everyone for their comprehensive motivation speeches. And now I would like to announce the motivational video for the project, so let's see it.
According to its geographic position, the Republic of North Macedonia is in the central part of the Balkan Peninsula, at the crossroad of two transport corridors which are very important for the region and for Europe, Corridor 10 and Corridor 8. Corridor 8 is a multimodal transport network that covers seaside and riverside ports, airports, roads and railways that go along the east-west axis, and it starts from the southern Italian ports of Bari and Brindisi, passes along Albania, North Macedonia and Bulgaria, and leads to the Black Sea, to the ports of Varna and Burgas. Corridor 8 is connected with the pan-European corridors 4, 9 and 10 along its route. In its passing through North Macedonia in the east-west direction, Corridor 8 railway is about 309 kilometers long, 157 kilometers of which have been constructed and 152 kilometers are being constructed. It is made of two sections. The east section towards Bulgaria, that is about 89 kilometers long, and the west section towards Albania, that is about 63 kilometers of rail tracks long. North Macedonia Railway Corridor 8, east section, railway route Kumanovo, border with the Republic of Bulgaria. The project consists of rehabilitation and construction of the east section of the railway Corridor 8 in the Republic of North Macedonia from Kumanovo to the Macedonian-Bulgarian border. This project is divided into three sections. Section 1, from Kumanovo to Beljakovce, 31 kilometers in length. Section 2, from Beljakovce to K.Palanka, 34 kilometers in length. Section 3, from K.Palanka to the North Macedonian-Bulgarian border, 23.5 kilometers in length. The railroad on the first section from Kumanovo to Beljakovce, with a length of 31 kilometers, used to be functional until 1994. Nevertheless, it is necessary to rehabilitate this part in order to make it operational again. There are three railway stations planned along this section: Novo Kumanovo, Šuplji Kamen and Beljakovce. 5 bridges, 6 overpasses, 11 underpasses and a tunnel. The second section from Beljakovce to K.Palanka, with a length of 34 kilometers, is the middle line of the route. It covers the part from the 31st to the 65th kilometers, and it ends just before the town of K.Palanka. Most of the facilities on this section are partially completed. It can be estimated that approximately 1/3 of all construction works have been completed. It is necessary to build the railway structure that is missing, and there's also rehabilitation needed of the previously constructed railway structures. There are 2 railway stations planned along Beljakovce-K.Palanka railway: Kratovo and Ginovci, as well as 29 bridges, 6 overpasses, 3 underpasses and 15 tunnels. Unlike the motorway, which has a direct line from Kumanovo to K.Palanka, the railway route follows the Kriva Reka valley. The line is located on the slopes, 30 to 50 meters above river level. From Beljakovce until the 41st kilometer, the route follows the north bank of Kriva Reka. Despite the numerous curves with a minimum radius of 500 meters, the route of this line has 10 bridges and 2 tunnels. In front of the projected Vakuf Dam, the route crosses the river and continues to follow the south boundary of the future tank until the 51st kilometer. Taking into consideration the future water level, the railroad level is approximately at 460 meters above sea level. There are 6 bridges and 6 tunnels on this line. The third, last section of the Corridor 8 railway on the territory of the Republic of North Macedonia is 23.5 kilometers long, and it goes from the 65th kilometer before K.Palanka until the 89th kilometer at Devebair on the Macedonian-Bulgarian border. There are 2 railway stations planned on this section, K.Palanka and the cross station Židilovo, as well as 51 bridges and 24 tunnels. The Macedonian part of the Corridor 8 ends with a cross-border tunnel.
I would like to thank everyone for their attendance of today's important event. This is the end of the official part, and I would like to ask all speakers to climb on the stage because we have upcoming questions from the media. Guests can find the refreshment behind the chairs, and I would like to ask the journalists to stay here in the central part. I would like to remind the journalists that they can only ask one question to one speaker.